You don't have to be ashamed that you want better, that you are better, that you are working towards better. You don't have to be ashamed about any of that, no matter what anybody else tries to project onto you. So I think ever since I was very young, I've struggled with the concept of a glow up, in a sense. And this is even before I could really put into words what a glow up meant for me. But ever since I was very young, I always had this internal idea or internal compass that was telling me you could do better, you could achieve more, you could get more out of life, you could be more successful, more smart, richer, more beautiful, more, social, more like known, whatever. I had a very strong internal compass telling me that there's this version of me out there, that's big, she's flourishing, she's doing amazing things. But I just always knew that there was a gap between that version of me and the me now. But I knew that that version existed. And for a long time, I've tried to figure out why it's so hard for me to make that version of me materialize. I went through a lot of phases in my life where I felt like I tried to be better. I tried to improve myself in some kind of way. It could be more superficial ways, like dressing better, doing my makeup more, doing my hair more, or really trying to embody the sort of abundance and success that I envisioned for myself. But I felt like it was always sort of out of reach. And a lot of the times when I was trying to embody those things, I felt like I was putting on a costume. Like, it felt a little embarrassing almost. And that's even when I was only in my own company, right? If it was only me that was looking at myself in the mirror, dressed up a little nicer, or I did my makeup or whatever, I felt a little shame. Like, who am I trying to act like I am? Like, who am I trying to be? And there were instances where I did try to take that persona and step out into the world with it, right? So like I said, in a manner such as dressing a little better, doing my makeup, which I was never really well versed in those things. I was always a kind of low maintenance girl or whatever growing up. Like, even in my teenage years, I really wasn't interested that much. But I felt like that bigger, better, higher version of me, like, she had her look on lock, right? So then there were times where I tried to step out of my comfort zone a little bit and thought to myself, oh, like, let me put a blush and mascara on today for school, or let me dress a little nicer, or let me put on like these cute accessories that I may or may not have taken from my mom's jewelry box, right? And I'd get to school, or I'd get to like hanging out with people who I thought were my friends at the time, and they'd scoff at me, right? Like, they'd be like, oh, why are you dressed like that? Why are you acting like that? Why are you wearing makeup? Why are you X, Y, and Z? And mind you, these were girls that themselves enjoyed doing their makeup, dressing nice, X, Y, and Z. So then I felt shame, and I internalized their projections to mean that, like, oh, it's somehow shameful for me to want to be better. It's shameful for me to want to do better. This applied to other areas outside of just beauty, right? So there were times where, for example, I'd win some kind of competition at school, and I'd be happy about it, like, visibly enjoying my achievement. And again, a friend would be like, oh, well, don't let it go to your head. You know what I mean? So all that is to say, I felt like there were a lot of instances in my life where I was clearly either trying to, do something to be better and step out of my comfort zone, or I was actually achieving something better. And a lot of times something that the people around me weren't achieving themselves, and I'd get shamed for it. So what happened was, essentially growing up, I felt really ashamed for not only wanting to be better, but being better. And now I'm 23 years old. I'm at a point in my life where I'm like, I still have this vision of a great me in my head, but I can still feel the gap. all that gap has been is shame. The gap between the me of now and the great me that I want to be is shame. I really have to work on getting rid of that shame in order to be who I want to be, right? I think I need to learn to not only shamelessly want things, shamelessly go for things, but also shamelessly celebrate and showcase the things that I have envisioned for myself. I think a lot of the times I struggled with people telling me, oh, don't think you're all that kind of thing, you know, sometimes more directly, sometimes more indirectly, but that's a repetitive pattern in my life coming from other people. Don't think you're all that. But the truth is, it's not me that thinks I'm all that, right? Or even if it is, it's not me thinking that I'm all that that's inspiring this kind of feeling in another person. It's because they think I'm all that. Sometimes I think as young girls, we shy away from saying something like that about our loved ones, that they might be in some subconscious way envious of what you have, whether it's something that you already embody naturally or something that you've cultivated through practice, through even trials and tribulations, or something that you didn't have naturally, but once you tried it, it became nature to you. It's hard for us to admit that maybe subconsciously some people who otherwise love us and want the best for us still get triggered when they see you embodying the qualities they might also like to embody themselves. And in their minds, it's like once they see that you have something that they want, it makes them feel lower in some capacity. Even if you're humble, you're kind, you never rub it in anyone's face, right? You're just being you, unapologetically you, whatever that means, right? So it means that you might be just naturally, unapologetically intelligent, right? Maybe you're really book smart and you get really good grades. Or maybe you're naturally very conventionally attractive. You don't have to do much, you know, after you wake up out of bed in the morning and still look like you belong on a magazine cover, right? You may not have to do much to be the type of person that people like and people like to be around, and you're a social butterfly. No matter what it is that is special and star-like about you, if you're doing it in an effortless way, or it truly just comes effortlessly to you, people really might get triggered and upset by that. It's a hard thing to step back and realize that people who love and support you otherwise might look at you sideways just because you're you, and just because the things that they would like to be or like to have come to you, like, you know, like a moth to a flame. But it happens sometimes. And I've experienced that from a lot of people that I thought they would never think like that. Like, they would never feel that way about me. But it happens. And a lot of the times it's subconscious. Doesn't mean they hate you. Doesn't even mean they hate themselves. A lot of the times people just have a really hard time watching somebody else shine. Especially sometimes if they feel like they deserve it more than you do. I kind of knew that subconsciously, right? I subconsciously knew that a lot of people around me had kind of hang-ups about who I was as a person. Maybe they thought I was too smart, I was too academic, maybe they thought I had an otherwise like really nice, perfect life, which nobody does. For sure I don't. But for whatever reason, I felt the kind of bad vibes that some people would project onto me when they saw me talk about things that were going well for me. So for me, a big example would be growing up, I was a really, really good student, straight A student. That's basically what I was known for growing up, right? Among family, among friends, I was the smart girl in school. And I worked hard for my grades. And of course, when I got the grades that I wanted, I was visibly very happy about it. But then I would have friends around me where it was almost like they were seeing it as a zero-sum game, right? Like, if I got good grades, it somehow takes away from theirs. There came a point where I was uncomfortable celebrating my achievements and my accomplishments. I felt like, oh well, if I point out or if I divulge this information that is positive information for me and about me, it makes somebody else feel bad and it makes them feel less than. So let me just hide away, right? Let me just fall back into the shadows, become a wallflower, and try not to make that other person uncomfortable. Because number one, I don't want to make somebody uncomfortable or don't want to make somebody feel less than when I love them and they're in my life as a friend. Like, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But number two, their discomfort was also hurting me, right? Like, I felt like there was something wrong with me for getting a good grade or doing what I was supposed to do as a student. I wouldn't directly hide my grades. Of course, if someone directly asked me like, hey, what did you get on the test? I would tell them, but it was with a lot less positivity and sense of achievement than it should have been. That's just one example from my life, and you may apply it to your life as you wish. It can be about, like I said, your social skills, your beauty, your kind, charitable nature, right? Anything. Your hardworking nature. You could apply it to anything in your life that other people covet. It's very crucial to recognize if you're a talented person in any area in life or successful in any area in life. It's very important to recognize and work through any feelings of shame that you might have that might be hindering you from going to the next level. The shame that I was taught to internalize about my life, it didn't only impact my shame surrounding academia, but again, it's spread in other areas of my life. So that's why I find myself at 23 being scared to want better, being scared to do better. I'm scared sometimes to, put really good effort into my appearance. I'm really scared to, launch myself online the way I'm doing now. I'm doing this through fear, actually, right? Because I recognize now that it's important to work through it. But for a long time, I've been wanting to start a YouTube channel. I've been wanting to cultivate a community of people on the internet to grow with, but shame has stopped me from doing so. It's just this sort of internalized feeling of like, who do I think I am, kind of thing. But yet again, I'm at a point in my life where my mid-20s are knocking, and I really want to proudly want what I want, and I want to proudly achieve what I want, and I want to proudly show those things off, right? Not in a narcissistic manner, not in a pretentious manner, but I want to be proud of the fruits of my labor. And it's okay to do that. You don't have to be ashamed that you want better, that you are better, that you are working towards better. You don't have to be ashamed about any of that, no matter what anybody else tries to project onto you. Anyway, those are my thoughts for today. One of my goals is to get rid of and work through all the shame that I'm carrying, because it's really not my weight to carry, it's everybody else's. It's just weight that other people have given onto me, right? And I don't want to deal with it anymore. What are you unapologetically going for? What are you unapologetically striving for that you might have felt shame about in the past? Leave a comment below. Thank you for watching, and like and subscribe for more.